First of all, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for having come out this evening. We both thought, meaning again, Brother King, Brother Teva King, and myself, because he told me, he said, Blair, we got air conditioning this time. And of course, I immediately hopped on a plane and ran for Chicago because I knew it was air conditioning here. Well, I see hands moving, and I see fans blowing, and I see smiles on faces, so that air conditioning is really good. Really good. Usually in Chicago, we get a lot of hot air there, and all of it doesn't come off the lake. Some of it comes from the city council, and automatic offices, and the governor when he comes through, and so on like that. So a little refreshing, cool air is always good. My name is Delbert Blair, and I've been doing what I've been doing for a long number of years. They're approaching 40 now. And I've created a lot of talk and conversation, hopefully over the years. I looked around when I was sitting over there and waiting, and a lot of you I've seen here before. I've had the pleasure now, I guess, of coming to Detroit to speak for about 23 times. Got to be young enough to have been to some of my classes when we held them here in Southfield and all like that. Anybody would go back with me that far? One person. Beautiful. Two. Okay, well, you know what I'm saying. It's been a long one. Hey, let's keep doing 4. All right, that's good. Okay, we get 5. Good. All right. I thank you very much. And as you know, that being the case, I have studied the science of metaphysics for some time. Some people don't believe that metaphysics is a science, and especially not when I first started teaching it. I was in undergrad school and was studying it like that more than the studies and the subjects that they made me take. But it is a science, and it is now the science. You cannot turn on a radio for 1 hour anywhere in any city, in any state, in any county in this country and not hear something metaphysical now. But I will say when I started out, that wasn't exactly the case. Before I go another further, let me first of all say to Teva King, thank you. And I appreciate the man not only for his wisdom, but the way he's usually calm. I haven't even seen him say what he said tonight. He usually is very placid, very calm. I know inside there seems a lot, but very calm. He's very knowledgeable. He seems to me to be very assured because some of the steps he takes could be very dangerous and also could lose him money, but he finds a way, because of being honest, to make it. He's very tenacious. He's got to be patient because he puts up with people like me and people like he just talked about and all like that. But I wanted to thank him personally again because the last 4 times I've been here, he has been the sole person to invite me. I want to thank also Machari, he's going to get into it too, for having picked me up, talked with me, and each time I've been here, whether the weather's been good or bad, he's been on the spot. So I want to thank both of you for doing what you did. And again, thanking you very much for coming here tonight. We've got a lot to cover tonight. That's why I brought a lot of clippings and papers. I'm going to reference them when I need to. I'm going to try and reference them a little bit more than I usually do because I bring a pile of notes and things but don't use them. I want to use them tonight because there's some things that I want to read to you verbatim about things that are going on our planet and in our country. The lecture that I'm going to start with, if you want to call it a lecture, will be benefits. The one that I will end with later tonight will be the Nagas conspiracy. That's M-A-N-A-G-A-S, the Nagas conspiracy. The flyer that I used when I did this lecture first in Chicago was simply called the Most Benefits. And it read again, in universal law, in man's law, and in human's law. If you've had any of my tapes, you know I select between all of those things. In order to judge who or what wins or loses, whether it be a trial, political situation, or in life, you have to determine who receives the most benefits. That's why I call this lecture Benefits. Many of these things I really feel are not at all beneficial. And I agree with you. Benefits don't have to always be good unless it is to the benefactor. If you are not the beneficial benefactor, you might think that you wish the whole benefit would stop. I want to start off, well, no, I don't want to start off yet. I want to make some little things that I jotted down as I listen to the radio, watch TV, when I do a lot of reading and attend lectures and seminars and conferences and do a lot of research again. And I just found these things over these last 6 months, they grabbed me wrongly. They just made me feel kind of bad about it. There's one that is called the Great Swine Flu Epidemic. Many of you go back a long way, and you've probably seen my tape when I begin to tear down about that thing. So I now call it, again, Porky Took Wings. Now, that would be funny if it wasn't so serious. Because, as you probably heard me say, there never was a swine flu epidemic. And yet, 5 million people received shots for the swine flu epidemic and are suffering now, and they don't know why they're suffering. Isn't that terrible? They rushed out and did what the government told them to do as good citizens, good mothers and fathers, good parents, good husbands and wives, good citizens, and they took a shot that was not necessary for something that never existed. So it might as well have been that the swine flu was Porky took wings. Pigs flew around and people got worried. The point is that they did it in good faith. In courts of law, due diligence and good faith mean a lot. If a person, therefore, is irresponsible, or worse, responsible enough to give inoculations and vaccinations to citizens for no reason at all that could be harmful to them, then you have to say, who benefits? Another thing that I say, and I don't think it's too funny, but it's knock knock. Who's there? Marshall. Marshall who? Martial law. That ain't funny. But it's a good knock knock up against your head. That's where that knock knock comes. Martial law is something now that is already invoked in 33 cities in the United States, and you haven't heard it declared but in one county when there was a big earthquake. Why do I say that? Because if any city or county or state has signed a FEMA allegiance, you're already susceptible to martial law whenever the governor, Board of Commissioners, or any 5 people serving in the federal government declare it to be so. Hope you heard that. If you've had any reason for FEMA to enter into your county, city, or state, it can now announce martial law when it chooses to. In school, they had me study a long time something called the Constitution of the United States of America. If you notice now, most of the time they talk about the United States. They say very little about America. They say very little about for the republic for which I used to stood. Because I don't understand. I understand the term now. A lot of people don't even overstand. But a lot of people are going to have to take a stand. Simply because what they're doing now is all unconstitutional and violates the Constitution every second by most things that Congress, the various departments, the cabinets, and the executive branch of government do, because now things are done by executive law, which means executive orders. You actually spend time, I will never say waste time, spend time electing people, arguing about it, campaigning for them, and voting. Only to have those people get so surreptitious and so overly influenced when they run up against other things that the very laws that they're supposed to uphold and the very people they're supposed to help are being usurped. And now instead of Congress doing things, it's being done by executive order. Recently, you have sent, or you know someone else that has sent United States citizens in the form of armed forces personnel to the Gulf, to Somalia, maybe some other places. Kosovo, goes on and on and on. No act of war declared by the Congress of the United States, ratified by the Executive Division, and agreed to by the people and representatives of the people. They just say go. What really got me, as we're worrying about how a man zips and unzips his pants and where and how frequently, and it goes on worldwide TV discussing his escapades. They make jokes about Viagra and the manufacturer of Viagra, William F. Clinton. But then, in a non-funny way, he commits your young people to go and fight. And you allow it while laughing at how he runs his zipper. Rather than he unzipped his pants twice every hour for the rest of his life than to send one child to death fighting for a war that they don't even know, a police action that they know nothing about. I know they know nothing about because if they did it, they wouldn't fight it. They'd be in jail, they'd be in the streets and everything else. They're doing it because that's the way they are trained. Which is another thing to the educational bill now. We used to go to school to get educated. Now you know where your education comes, sitting in Universal's church right now, going to seminars and lectures like this. They don't educate you in school anymore. You educate yourself every day, and hopefully you keep on getting educated till there isn't anything to get educated to. You're getting trained in the schools. You're getting trained to fulfill niches and jobs and things to maintain a situation that's going to grind you under, but you don't get educated. You beg, plead, steal, work hard for an education. There's another one that I heard is very interesting too. They stated that the founding fathers did a lot of things here. And from a black perspective, I have a not too funny joke. I say, the founding fathers means I found your father there, so I killed him. That's terrible, isn't that all? But do you know, with many Native Americans, African Americans, people with melanin, that is the truth. The irony is that is the truth.
That's right.
Heard about the great gold rush? That's the rush to find out where they put the stuff that was in Fort Knox. And how many boats and planes you have to take to get to it. Or of course there's a rush to limbo. Oh, I'm sorry, Rush to Limbaugh. I can never pronounce that name correctly. Is it Rush to Limbo or Rush to Limbaugh? Or is it one and the same? Another one that really grabs me a lot is that there are clean air bills passed now by the Senate. And in your state and county, I hope maybe you don't, but I think you do, you have the Environmental Protection Act, and you also have to have clean vehicles. How many of you received those little summonses to go and have your vehicle checked out for clean air filters? And raise your hand if you've had to go through that. You see that? Oh, you don't have to do that anymore. You mean I'm the only, subject that still has to do it. Well, we have to do it in Chicago and in the whole state of Illinois. And what gets me again is they want those vehicles not to spray out anything. They want everything clean and so. And yet they send over planes 10 times a day to chemically spray big cities in the United States, and there's not one big city in the United States that doesn't get sprayed at least twice a week. And you know the terrible thing about it? Nobody knows what they're spraying.
Every day.
Nobody knows what they're spraying.
That's right.
Tell me this. We're going to fight. No, we're not. They are going to fight wars, police actions, skirmishes, Kosovo, in Iraq, in Iran, the Gulf, in Vietnam, in Korea, in Somalia, and what's that place down in Panama? Oh, but that was not, nobody was ever killed in Panama, though. That was just a slight skirmish. I had some friend that used to be a person who dared to argue with me that they killed over 300,000 black people in Panama, and dared to say that the mass graves were just a relic of a political administration who wanted to decry the United States government for its actions in Panama. No, I think maybe they might have killed maybe 500,000 people down in Panama. So it's not that many people in Panama. You haven't been to Panama recently. You haven't seen what they've done to the Panama Canal recently either. With the installations there and the microwaving, that every ship's coming through is getting microwaved. And who knows what's being put on the hulls of those ships. There's a lot of things going on, folks, that are most interesting in this time of our lives. The Terminator seed is a very interesting other little beastie plan or law or some dream that became somebody's nightmare. They also state now, in case of Y2K really reaching the terrible end that it might, it's best that you begin to grow your own food. It's best that you have the old backyard gardens. I started to say victory gardens, but nobody even knew what I meant when I say victory gardens. Well, victory garden was for victory. I don't know what kind of gardens we're going to grow now, because we're not getting too victorious nowadays. They say, store the seeds, and if Y2K does become applicable, get you a plot of land somewhere, if not an acre, then an inch, get something and start growing. And store seeds. You can chew seeds, and there's energy in seeds. It can be released in the digestive system and it can give you strength and things. So people say, all right, I'm going to plant me a garden. And they go and they destroy a beautifully manicured lawn because they're now thinking. They're thinking in a beautiful way now. Let's not just grow grass. Let's grow food. To me, that's intelligent thinking. If we're going to go to Y2K, it won't be how beautiful your lawn looks, it'll be how healthy you can stay. So I can see that. So people start planting things. Used to plant seeds, but now they're planting things. So, uh-oh, Blair, here you start. There you go with that kind of talk again. You're right. I always want you to remember what I say, so I talk in irony. But I do it in metaphors, but now I'm going to do it straight out. Terminator seed is a seed that germinates and produces a plant or food one time and doesn't reproduce itself, and you can't grow it again. Now that would be good if it's just a little victory garden in the backyard, a neighborhood collective on the corner where they took a vacant lot and gave humus and nitrogen to the soil and made things grow. But it's not. These are 100,000 acre farms, 50,000 acre farms, 15,000 acre farms. Farmers cannot grow crops anymore because the government will not sell to them seeds that will germinate and grow past one season. I sound like I just made that up, didn't it? Somebody made up their mind before I made that up to destroy you. And not only you, anybody that wants to be healthy on this planet. They have actually taken off the market fertile seeds that can grow crop after crop, rotation after rotation, year after year, and it is now against the law that your government has passed to allow those farmers to grow with those kind of seeds anymore. And if you are caught with them, you can go to jail. Now you know, you talk about irony, madness, good and bad laws. Tell me what is good about a law passed that if you have a seed that can give you a crop for more than 1 year, you are in violation. Why have farms? It doesn't matter how much land now a farmer has. He is not allowed to carry any seeds or sell any seeds that can grow past one crop, which means that each year, if whoever is manufacturing, distributing these seeds says no, that farmer is gone. You can use it for ice skating, surfing, and pretty soon when the land erodes in sand, you can wash away sandstorms. from the big cities. You didn't hear what I just said, did you? You think about that. And you tell me who benefits. Who benefits? Every day when the planes take off from the airports, some planes take off from back of the airport. Some planes take off from silos down the road that open up and they're almost launched. And as I just said, contrails come over major cities, major farmlands, major rural and urban areas. Contrails. Contrail is condensed moisture in the air that flows over the wing of an airplane at least 55,000 feet into the air or more. That moisture, when it condensates, looks very white, and it leaves a trail of those little particles that are icing up, because the temperature usually is 55 degrees below zero, that altitude. And as these trails then form, it leaves a little contrail behind it. Jet exhausts, when you just see a plane taking off from a major airport, and so it's supposed to be so particulated, so filtered, that you're not even supposed to see it. I repeat to you, what is a contrail? Iced vapor condensation from a plane, a minimum of 55 miles up, with a temperature of at least 55 degrees below zero, flying through, leaving a little ice particulation trail. How many of you may have even seen these double rows of chemtrails spreading after the plane has been gone 2 hours later and creating a fog and a mist over major cities, over farmlands, over waterways. Don't think that that spray stopped at your city. It's in your water. It's in ocean water. It's in lake water. It's in mountain water. It's in stream water. And if those things go a variable table of underground reservoirs, it's in the underground springs and underground waters. How many of you walked out in your backyard, front yard, woods, or anywhere where there are trees, or sometimes where there's just concrete, and start brushing away the spider webs and feeling something itchy on your face and seeing something gossamer on some of your ferns or on some of your trees or your bushes, or sprung through from one plant to another? And how many have jumped away from all the spiders that fell out of those webs? No spiders in the webs. They're not spider webs. They're not cobwebs. I don't know what kind of webs they are. Maybe we should search the internet webs to find out. What is it? What are they? In the late 1960s and 70s, people were seeing what they call angel hair falling over major portions around our planet. Didn't hear too much about angel hair. They said it looked somewhat like cotton candy. And it kind of like a sticky residue. Well, so do these things now. If you've ever seen any close up, and I hope you haven't, if you do, try to wash your hands immediately and use baking soda as a substance. These things become a little chemically sticky glue. They're on your banisters or on your yard or so. It's actually a sticky little paste that these things form. All sprayed from overflying planes over every major city in the United States. I hear that they're even now getting them over in some of the European countries. What about chemtrails? Let's not even waste time talking about contrails when we're referring to this. These are chemical trails. I did a lot of research. If I brought that over, I can see I want to get back and read you some things.
things we are.
Got such voluminous notes, I'm not going to read you all of them, but I want to take a look at some things. They asked people, they took a poll, and they asked supposedly people, scientists in the know, what do they think these chemtrails are? Came out, protective shields for some solar rays that may be coming to us. Disbursement test to see what it does to air. Inoculating U.S. populace against bioweapons or hazards that may be coming from terrorists. Something that would illuminate for high altitude energy dispersants. Smart polymer plastics, RNA messengers, positive negative ends of a protein, and that these polymers could coat an artificial virus. What have they actually found in some of this stuff that's been examined? Extreme biohazardous virus, some of it referred to as, there's this word again, Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas is a very deadly virus, and the highest breed of that virus is called fluorescence. Pseudomonas fluorescens and living human T cells have been found in this soup that drops down. Living human T cells? Pseudomonas fluorescens? Sprayed by planes over United States cities? Biohazards. Hazardous material analyzed by lab techs that was collected from a metal siding, aluminum, that contained defecation, brown gook, manure. Must be all of these planes that are flying by now, so many people use them, they can't do anything to take care of them, so they just dump them over cities as they go. It adds to the fertilization process. Just they didn't say what they were fertilizing. Brad Birkin, a Miami radio talk show moderator, had 2 shows which he devoted 6 hours to talking about chemtrails. And he actually found that scientists were admitting when they analyzed this that some of these were minute, micro-miniaturized metallic particles. Boy, they hold that's a whole lot to spray from the air, you know that? Just putting all these different things together, how long does it take since they're still doing it? Why are they doing it? What are they spraying? I won't go into too many more on this one. I wanted to share that bit with you. It's been stated that possibly not only is this a great protection for United States citizens, but whatever it is, whether it's a detriment or a helper, why haven't the citizens voted for being sprayed? Why don't the cities and citizens ask their elected representatives, why is the government that they're elected to spraying them? And who ever heard of some foreign plane coming over the United States of America's big cities day after day, hour after hour, week after week, and now month after month, spraying the cities? No National Guard attack jets, no DEW line adherence, no scrambling, no shooting down, not even any reports to any of the citizens as to why this is allowed to be happening, which means obviously it's not only sanctioned by the FAA, therefore by the Department of Commerce, but must be a plan by your government, which you as a citizen know nothing about, and this is a free and demonstrated democratic republic, right? I mean, over there in Africa, where those ignorant people, those black people, those people still in the Stone Age need help, they might do that. In Kosovo, where those Serbian and Croatian nuts have been fighting each other for 500 years that need some help, they might do that. In Iraq and Iran, where those Arab people who were not too long from pilgrimaging and not even understanding what's really going on in the world, they might do that. In China, where those backward people there, where they're still paddling canoes and are not coming to the third world yet again, but are trying to because of their population, they might do that. In Borneo, they might do that. No, in Japan, they wouldn't do that. They already did that. But in the United States of America, on white citizens, black citizens, brown citizens, yellow citizens, and immigrants, and aliens, and no citizens? Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Please give me some answers. Be better than what your elected representatives are doing. Give me some answers. You talk about protest. You talk about Zippergate. If any one of these things that these people, scientists and research people say they're finding in these chemicals is being done, why in the world is it being allowed? You're going to church tomorrow. You're in church today. You look up at the blue sky and it's suddenly not blue anymore. But look for these chemtrails making it cloudy. Come on. That is what is a more major issue than that? You know, I used to make a joke, and I make ironic jokes, and I don't even think they're funny. I just say it because in order to stay semi-sane, I told you I was neurotic. My neurosis has grown. It will grow some more. The more I research, the more neurotic I get. Why? Because they're psychotic. They're mad. They're worse than mad. They're ignorantly mad. Before I finish up, I'm going to show you they're about to take on a planet. I mean, you got to be good when you take on a planet. So yeah, I'm a little bit neurotic. Forgive me. I'm hoping you leave tonight, you will be too. As we, I didn't dump the wrong thing here now. Let's see here. Going down my checklist, and I want to make sure I can find my checklist here again. Okay. Here we go. New government food control laws. New government food control laws. Do yourself a favor, but do it with some wisdom. Go to your neighborhood store, whatever the chain store is, a big one now, and get you a shopping cart and start getting some canned goods and bottled goods off the shelf. And if you don't really want to buy them all, get some selective buying, like you're actually reading labels. Put some in your cart first, because other than that, they have spies in the sky, but the sky is the ceiling above you, where they're watching you and they zoom in on you. And if you fit a certain profile, they'll zoom in closer. They can see how much money you don't have in your pocket. By the way, nowadays too, you know, when you come in the store now, alarms can go off when you come in the store, not when you leave. And alarms are not triggered to detect if you have metal guns or knives. They're triggered to read your credit cards and the magnetic strip on your money. They can tell pretty much how loud that sound goes off and how many times it beeps, how much money you have in your pocket. They can read your credit card and know how much money you have on that credit line if you use it. And they can start playing music to entice you. I mean, they can play music to calm you down as you buy. They can help you along with your shopping spree. No. You knew that, didn't you? That's why those detectives at the front door, not because they think you're coming with guns. That's a byproduct of this society nowadays. They're reading your pocketbook, your wallet, your purse. They're the best thief. I'm saying they're the best person you've ever seen happening it. They do it with sophistication and aplomb. I mean, if a guy's going to take me out with aplomb to the ball game, right? But at any rate, pick those canned goods up and read them. If necessary, even invest $15 in all kind of different foods. And then, or write down or memorize what some of those polysyllable, multisyllable words mean. You will find, when you check United States Dispensatory of Pharmaceutical Products, Merck's Index, that at least on every canned good you pick up, there will be 4 things that could kill you in it. You didn't hear me, did you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we did.
At least 4 things that could kill you in every can you pick up. Read it. Why? Produce section used to say you could tell a smart woman, a smart man, a wisdom seeker, and a wisdom talker, walker, and doing the thing by where they went in the store when they went into the store. And if it was a grocery store, they went to the produce section because they knew that live foods, live fruit, enzyme producing spinach, carrots, beets, celery, cucumbers, radishes, Bermuda red onions, not the white onions that take calcium from you. All these things smart people would buy. Some even had juicerators, and they go home and they juice it. Then they got pulp ejectors, and they go home and they take some of the pulp and make carrot cakes and things. Well, they knew that each meal should have some live food in that because life gives life and death gives death. And now smart people want life along with the death. So if they're going to get the barbecue, at least they want some spinach and carrot juice with it. Tastes good that way. You don't have that choice anymore. Or have you made a mistake to go to your produce section lately? No, don't tell me that, Blair. Don't tell me that, Blair. Don't hit me with that. Yeah. If you don't spend a half an hour in your produce section, if you go there, you are ignorant. Isn't that terrible? And I love you. You're ignorant. Because the danger you can walk into now when you go to the produce section is unbelievable. And in fact, have you bought any produce recently? How you like those apples? You buy them, red delicious apples, especially one of the worst kind you can get, and you cut it open, and there stands the filthy, filthy worms. There stands a fungus in the middle of it. I'm serious. Go get your red delicious, I don't care where, cut it right through the seeds and see what you see there. Don't just eat it and throw it away. Half those things have been gassed in the warehouse. You eat them 2 years old. The fresh crop now is failing because where do you think all these products is? What used to be foods, all right, apples are coming from. How many fires they had in Washington State? Up and down California, you hear forest fires. How many times do you think over 15 years you can burn a forest and still grow anything in it? Are they lying? Are there forest fires? You go down in Florida, floods everywhere. Mississippi, the growing area, floods everywhere. Where are they growing the produce from? Can't be in the backyard with a Terminator seed, can it? Don't you tell nobody, but I know somebody got some good seeds in these sheep. I'll sell you some seeds cheap, I will, but don't you tell anybody now. Hey man, I got some seeds, baby. Got some seeds. Seeds, baby, seeds. On the islands, monsoons, typhoons, tornadoes, Hurricane Seixas, and El Nino, and La Nina. The law of this land, whatever this land is, I have no idea what it is. You name it, good as anything I can think of. Says that they can gene splice and fumigate seeds before they put them in, and they don't have to tell you what crop has been gene sliced or fumigated. Fumigation is putting up to 18 different kind of chemicals into a seed and then putting it in the ground so that the worms and bugs won't eat it. But you will. Gene splicing is taking a lizard's egg, a spider's, what are spider's eggs? Eating with these spiders, another water spout, a spider's whatever, an ant's whatever, a rat's whatever, a rat's cousin's whatever, whatever. And splicing it into what used to be a food set. Tomatoes may have insect venom. Radishes may have coloring from the beet, and the beet may have been one that they grew in underground laboratories. An onion's not an onion unless it smells, and some onions now don't even cry. I mean, won't make you cry. I mean, sometimes you'll cry if you got the onion. I mean, ever seen some of the broccoli they got now? I love tomatoes. My father's from Jamaica. Spent a lot of time on the islands. I love pineapples. I don't know what they're selling there. I go for a pineapple, I look at it, I don't know what it is. I love to turn it over and see all the fungus crawl about. Sometimes take this little microscope, a little magnifying glass, you can see them crawling. I cut it open, that's the biggest mistake. You know they had a cantaloupe recall March of this year? Go back and check it out. People are buying cantaloupes, and if you notice, you got sales on cantaloupe now. Yeah, they had a cantaloupe recall because the whole cantaloupe crop was full of some kind of poison and stuff from something they said got into some of the forests and the jungles over there where they grew the cantaloupe. The people there won't buy cantaloupes and eat them, they won't buy pineapples and eat them, but they're shipping over here. You eat them. Have you ever seen some of this thing they call watermelon? I'm sorry, watermelon. Seen anything we call watermelon nowadays? A watermelon? Have you seen any watermelons lately? Some of them don't have too much water, some of them have a lot of fiber on it, they're really sour. Watermelon used to be one of the sweetest things. It cleanses the liver, cleanses the spleen, very good for the blood. I don't know what this is good for. I don't even know what you call it. They don't have to tell you if they genetically altered any food anymore for any reason. And if you ask them about it, you can get in trouble. Because they altered that. You ask them, why do they alter that? And at least tell me, sir, which one of these things is genetically altered? They say, I don't know, the whole thing, forget it, it's bad. Whoever heard of crossing an insect with a vegetable and calling it a tomato? A cucumber. Oh, why did they do this? They wanted to give natural protection to these plants against these invading insects and things that are causing crops not to grow. Of course, dropping napalm in Vietnam and places like that, that might cause crops not to grow too, but it's the insects you got to worry about. Let me dispel a myth very quickly for you. Insects have a lot of characteristics that make them insects, including feelers, little things. They twitch around. You know why they twitch around? They're a sensing apparatus. They can pick up vibrations, energy fields, and around all biological organisms, including plants and vegetables, and you, there is an energy field. Tonight, where I want to demonstrate some of that to you. This energy field that is there tells anything that is sensitive what state of health you're in. What state of health you're in. Also, what state of health you might not be in. When insects see a ripe, life-forced piece of food, corn, carrot, spinach, whatever it is, they crawl onto it, sense its field, and if the field has a high enough energy to it, they keep on going. Because to eat it would destroy their bodies. It's too potent for them. They would not drop any eggs or larvae into it because it would kill the eggs or larvae when the eggs or larvae spawn, hatch, whatever they do. When they started with DDT back in World War II and began to chemicalize, these insects began to get the little sensing apparatus stopped up, and they no longer could detect what was in a lot of things, and they began to go haywire. Then they began to create chemicals to actually kill the insects, and they did the first generation, but the second generation mutated, and they ate it for lollipops. It was their dessert. Still goes on. Second generation of any insect mutates and can now live off of what killed the previous generation. We know about that because we're black people, though. Huh? We better be. Why? Because plants have leaves, and what's in every leaf? Chlorophyll. What's chlorophyll made of? A coloring substance equal to melanin, photosynthetic, that is adaptogen. The insect kingdom only ate up what was low enough in vibration for them and not high enough in vibration to help you stay alive and keep you healthy. That was the plan of the divine creator, if you believe in such. The new divine creator wears white coats, smocks, stethoscopes, and carries around hyper syringes and sprays from the air. Must be a divine creator because he's sure creating a mess here now. They don't tell you what you are eating, and there's no law to make them. So now, if you see all the things in the canned goods that are killing you, or potentially can be cancer, carcinogenic, leukemic, and every other thing, and you try to go to the produce section, you've got nothing there waiting. If you get it when it first comes in, you go to some Whole Food stores and things like this, you can selectively get that, and then right quick, you better soak it in some KO7 real quickly. And within 3 hours, because the KO7 will take the dyes off of it, will kill whatever pesticides are on it, but then you better get it because the leaves are so impotent that they'll start to crinkle on you after 3 hours. So then you rinse it and take it in your body and pray. Hope at least you're getting something good. Why would a government or officials there to help the citizens of the United States do such a thing? Who benefits? Yugoslavia and Kosovo drama. Everybody knows about it. The wars, the action's over. The non-declared whatever is over. NATO won. Who's NATO? NATO? Neptunus? NATO, North American Treaty Organization. Wasn't the Treaty of Versailles that made that come about. In fact, that agreement was signed where? Where? The NATO alliance is supposed to be against Russia during the Cold War. You know, when it's hot outside, they have hot wars. When it's cold outside, they have cold wars. During the Cold War, portions of the European society said, we got to get the help of the United States and all, in case those deadly Russians come over the border again and mess over us. So they set up NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, against Russia. Well, who was the first army to come into Yugoslavia after the war? The who? The Russians are coming, the Bolsheviks are there, right, huh? How in the world can you fight with an enemy that you were organized? Somebody help me. I tell you, I'm neurotic, man. It's getting worse. I can't understand. You guys can. You guys have wisdom, intelligence. I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your eyes. Tell me, how can you let the first armed troops on ground, because they make sure nothing Everything flew in the air, killed people from the air, right? The first one coming out of the Russians, who NATO was formed to fight. Russia signed in somewhere quickly, right? But you didn't hear about that, did you? And as much as I love him, do you really think the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson would go over with the ambassador from Yugoslavia and the senator and talk to the person that they're trying to bomb out of extinction because he's a nasty you know what? I mean, that's what you told me. Saddam Hussein is a madman, this is a nasty, you told me these things. It's got to be right because the press said it, right? You think he would have gone over there unbeknownst to Clinton and did what he did? That he did it is wonderful. Please understand me. Because I'm going to give you some other examples. I am not denouncing. Let's say Dr. Blair came over here and denounced Jesse Louis Jackson. Reverend Jesse, no. Do you think he would have acted like that if he didn't have permission? Do you really? That's why he acted over in Africa after he did that, but not when they were killing people in Zaire, when they were killing people in Namibia, when they were killing people in Nairobi, when AIDS was over there and the Japanese came over and took over Dr. Koki's formula. But when he was given permission, he did. And he did a good job of debating. But can't you begin to see what's happening? I could spend all night on that. Let me give you the punchline. Let me know, I got to add one more little thing. How many of you remember this? About the third week of the NATO action, I can't even say war anymore, NATO action, there were a group of Serbian refugees that were trying to make it to the border, okay? Well, all the Albanian people just slaughtered them some more. And they photographed them, they were on the road. And then for 2.5 days, they couldn't find them. And then they found them in a valley where they had gone to hide from the bombings and the Serbians. How many of you remember that vaguely? Just raise your hand if you can go back and remember that now. Good, most of you didn't hear about it, huh? Yeah, okay. Did you hear what the person over there who was the assistant to the guy that was over there who was running everything? So Obelitz, he stated that they were hired actors who didn't get paid, and so they went home. And when they came up with some more money, they came back and got on the road and went on down. And what was very interesting, many of them had changes of clothes. How do you change your clothes when you left with the clothes in your back and you're out there in a forest in the jungle where it rained and there's napalm all around? I'm sorry, it wasn't napalm. It's plutonium bombs, by the way. They tested some new weapons out there. Before you laugh at that, let me jump across to the Gulf War. When they told you, and I remember this very clearly again, I think it was ABC carried it again, that they were going, jump with me now, we're back to the Gulf War. They told you again that they were bombing downtown Baghdad in Iraq. They saw the flares and the scuds were going off and so on again like this. And they even went to reporters and said, now we go over to such a thing. What do you see there again? Oh, I'm here. Said, where are you? I don't know. The reporter said, I don't know. He said, what do you mean you don't know? Where are you? I don't know. They dropped me off here. And I don't know. Wait. Oh, let's take it away. Go back. Okay. People were going to restaurants, to plays, going dancing in full regalia, formals, while they were bombing Baghdad. They bombed downtown Detroit. You're going to go down there and catch that little show, aren't you? You're going to go to a restaurant, aren't you? You're going to go dancing, aren't you? Blair, what are you saying? Exactly what you heard me say. Obviously, they weren't bombing when they said they were bombing. They might not have been bombing where they said they were bombing. But you've got now the Gulf War syndrome now affecting 250,000 people. All from all those people that got shots and so all those canisters, every time you exploded it, and they said, oh, boom, there goes one of Saddam Hussein's things, full of chemicals and biologicals. And now those soldiers are coming back here sicker than dogs. And it spreads to their wives, it spreads to their husbands, and the children are now being born just like the thalidomide children, all misshapen out of it, with no immune systems working. And you applauded every time you saw those Scud missiles blow. Boom! Oh, there's one for the big U.S. Folks, these are dangerous times to be cheering any kind of killing going on. Because first they, and then they go for back again to Kosovo. The real reason for Kosovo has nothing to do with what you heard. Those people have been killing each other for 500 years. And they're back doing it again. They took the Serbs out, and now the Albanians are over there. They took the Albanians out, now the Serbs are burning their villages. There's so much hatred there going on now, that will never end unless a whole new generation is taken off that land, re-educated, and then placed back. It's now what you call a systematic genetic war. It's in the consciousness of the people. That's what war does to planets, and that's what war does to the heavens above planets. And it gets into your blood because you've seen people die, you've heard the stories, and you react to them. They found through the orbiting United States satellite, and probably Russia too, because they share and share alike. Yes, they share and share alike. You don't, but they do. They found oil 15 miles off the coast of Yugoslavia. It runs underneath that area. And it's sulfuric oil, which is the best oil because it burns clean. So now they just cleared away all the land of all the oil fields and all the oil refineries, and they can now set up the new system because those other things couldn't pump it. And now they can pump the new oil at your expense because you're going to pay for the cleanup. Well, you know you're not taxed enough yet. Come on, you know you're not taxed enough yet. Pay something for the world, new world, old world, the world order, right? You can afford it. You look like you can afford it to me, right? They have found gold veins down there now, some of which rival what they found in Africa, which is the richest on this planet, and oil, and that's why they're there. And they didn't want those people to mine it themselves, and they definitely didn't want the Serbs taken over because the Serbs have some of the most intelligent people there now because the best scientists from Europe went to Kosovo and were mapping out plans on how to get this oil out of the ground and what treaties they had to sign and who had to get paid off. Why do you think all of these companies around the world are conglomerating? You better start grabbing your neighbor soon too. They're ahead of you. They know what time it is. Because the little fish cannot stand up anymore. It takes technology to start splitting elements and atoms and fissionable. Cold fusion now is replacing hot fission. That's why they're there, and they use what was going on as an excuse. It was so dangerous to shoot those smart missiles, smart enough to knock off a church, smart enough to land on a hospital, smart enough to hit the Chinese embassy. Smart missiles. Downtown in Kosovo was like a small Detroit. They have office buildings down there. People from all over the world, knowing this oil is down there, were sitting in trying to figure out how they're going to get it. Those things flying through like that could have slammed into part of the NATO people. Supposedly did slam into one of the Chinese embassy people. Oil is there. Look for money anytime you sign capitalists up front. Capitalists don't have to be in the United States. They're all over the world, especially the New World, especially the New World Order. They tested out plutonium and disintegrating deuterium bombs there. They didn't know what to do with a lot of the aftermath of making these missiles and these atomic type things, so they found that it could form when you set up a high charge, it would like melt and you had something like napalm. And not only that, but it would give off a big boom and a big light that scares the heck out of you. So they set those things off there, they tested it. That should be nothing new. Remember Vietnam? Agent Orange, brown, yellow, green, purple. I'm not making up those colors. That's what some of these canisters were colored, that they had different chemicals that came out of as they tried to defoliate half of Vietnam. So what's new? Gulf War. Now you got Gulf War syndrome. So what's new? Just recently, what happened in Korea? The North Koreans supposedly did what? came down into South Korea, and South Korean 2 destroyer frigates blew these little torpedo boats out of the water. How many of you remember hearing that? Some of the time see, this is why I'm glad you came out tonight. I can do the research while you're working. I can do my kind of work, you can do we kind of work, we can share the information, and maybe it will cause you to start acting. How many actually heard about what recently happened in Korea? They heard something about it. Well, that's what happened. Did that ring any bell to anybody when you heard that? Because how did Vietnam supposedly start? A North Vietnamese torpedo boat came into the Gulf of Haiphong Harbor, and attacked 2 under-steam frigates. Oh man, that really grabbed me when I heard that. I said, boy, this guy was high on sake. He had some of the best white stuff going around. White horse was there, and him for sure. That PT boat commander had to be wanting to commit suicide. He takes a PT boat and attacks 2 under-steam frigates. A frigate, by the way, is worse than a destroyer. It has 136 torpedoes. It has depth charges. It has a small motor launch. It has a catapult ship, a plane that can go up again. It has guns that one shell was as big as a PT boat. And 2 of them under steam, and this thing attacks it. And you bought that. You bought that. You know, like you just bought Korea. That's where they're going to next, by the way. Back to Korea. Back to the future. Future to the back. No, whatever. Let me move on, folks. Let me move on. The tremendous, terrible death toll worldwide by weather and weather-related phenomena. We all know that God hates us. God does not like what the people on this planet do. God is going to wreak havoc and vengeance against his people, but they've turned against him. All right, I want you to say blasphemy and being now terrible. God wears a white coat, spats sometimes, dungarees sometimes, has a stethoscope, and he has a lot of little things in his thing. For the great God white coat, lab techs and scientists are playing God. The Creator has never done anything like this. And nature always warns you first. Watch that rule. These people are now creating weather. Do you really think the weather we're getting is real? No. This is real because it's killing. But do you think it came from the Creator? No. You probably heard my tapes. I got all these things on tape. Individualized, compartmentized, and I spell it all out. The Senate and House bills that are now 20 years old legislating penalties, fees, imprisonment,